Hey everyone, so today we're going to break down Sun Salutation A. So we're going to start at the front of our mat. Feet are hip width distance apart. So you can find this by jumping up, and where your feet naturally fall is your natural hip width. We're going to inhale, reach those arms up, lifting up through the shoulders, the hands, the fingers reaching for the sky. Bringing the hands together. We're going to fold forward, so sending those hips back, keeping as much as a bend in the knees as you need to bring the hands to the mat. Inhale into halfway lift, hands on shins, keeping a straight back. And exhale into fold. Releasing the fingers all the way up the body, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. Shoulders roll back as the hands come up. Palms to touch and back to heart center. So that was a half salutation. We'll do it again. Inhaling to lift those arms up. Exhaling to fold. Bending the knees as much as you need to bring the hands to the mat. Inhaling to halfway lift, either onto the tippy fingers, the tips of our fingers, hands on shins, keeping a straight back. Folding all the way down as we trace the fingers all the way back up. Head is the last thing to rise as hands come up overhead and back to heart center. This time we're going to add coming into a plank and then downward facing dog. So we're going to inhale, lifting the arms up, sending those hips back as we fold forwards, bending the knees. Inhale into halfway lift, hands come to the shins. And we're exhaling to fold. Here we're planting the hands into the mat, stepping back with the right leg and then the left. We're coming into a high plank. So you can come into a high plank here or a low plank, whichever works for you. Wrists are underneath shoulders. Lowering the knees down, flattening off the feet, keeping a bend in those elbows as we roll down thighs, hips, chest, and then chin all the way to the ground. Hands come to the chest. We're rolling the shoulder blades back and together as we lift up into our low cobra or push into the hands to lift up into upward dog. So the only things touching the floor are the feet and the hands. Lowering down the knees. We're rolling over, tucking the toes under, maybe moving the hands back a little bit. And we're lifting the hips up, maybe walking the feet forward. We're coming into downward facing dog. So here, we're in a bit of a V shape. The hands are pressing into the mat, the hips are sending up. And there's no need for your feet to be on the floor. If they are, then that's great. But otherwise, we're on the tips of our toes, maybe bringing a bend into those knees. We're going to take a couple of breaths here, breathing in through the nose and out. Looking towards your hands, walking the feet to meet them at the front. Again, bending the knees as much as you need to reach the mat. Inhale into halfway lift. Hands come back to the shins, back to our straight back. We're folding forwards. And then tracing the fingers all the way up the body as we roll up. Hands come up overhead and back home to heart center. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling to lift the arms up. Exhaling to fold, sending those hips back. We're bringing the hands down to the mat. Inhaling to halfway lift. Hands come to shins. We're pressing the hands into the mat, stepping back with one foot and then the other, coming into our high plank. Lowering down the knees, Flattening off the feet, taking a bend in those elbows as we roll down thighs, hips, chest and then chin all the way to the ground. Hands come to the chest, we're rolling the shoulder blades back and together, lifting up into our low cobra or upward facing dog. Rolling back into a tabletop position. Wrists underneath shoulders, we're tucking the toes under, sending those hips back into our downward facing dog. Now you can pedal the feet out here by drawing one heel towards the ground and then the other. It brings a bit of movement into the hips. Pressing through the tips of the fingers, the palms of the hands. And the goal here is to have equal weight in both the hands and the feet. One more breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Gaze comes towards the hands or walking the feet to meet them at the front. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling to fold, hands come to the earth, and we're tracing the fingers all the way up the body as we roll up. Head and neck is the last thing to rise as the hands come up overhead and back home to heart center. Brilliant. So we're going to do that again, but we're going to add a bit of a chaturanga variation in. So that's basically where we lower to the ground. So we're going to inhale, reaching up, exhaling to fold, bringing the hands down to the ground. We're inhaling to halfway lift, hands on shins. Exhaling to fold, stepping back with one foot and then the other, coming into our high plank. We're going to lower the knees here, flatten off the feet, walk the hands back towards us a little bit, keeping a bend in those elbows. We're going to bend at the elbows again, roll forward, and then lift up. So we're on our knees, we're leaning forwards, and then up. Or you can choose the option that we did before, where you just roll all the way down to the ground. Lifting up, rolling the shoulder blades back and together. Tucking the toes under, rolling back through tabletop to our downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet here. If this position feels too much on your shoulders, you can open your hands out to the width of the mat. Noticing if that makes any difference. Maybe just giving it a go. Walking back between the two. Wide hands and closer hands. Pedaling out those feet. Gaze comes towards the hands or walking the feet to meet them at the front. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. And we're tracing the fingers all the way up the body. Hands come up overhead and back to heart center.